High Ambassador Vizar felt all four of his hearts flutter as he faced the newest class of diplomatic trainees. 60 pairs of eyes, representing 23 different species, stared back at him from the crystalline auditorium of the Galactic Diplomatic Academy. The chamber's prismatic walls caught starlight from the nearby nebula, casting rainbow shadows across anxious faces. "Today," he began, his voice resonating through specialized atmospheric channels that made it comprehensible to all species present, "we discussed the most crucial diplomatic protocol in the known galaxy, the Human Directive." A ripple of nervous movement passed through the audience. Even the crystalline Moravians, usually stoic in their silicon-based forms, flickered with uncertainty. "You've all heard rumors," Vizar continued, adjusting his ceremonial robes. "Stories passed through space stations and trading posts. Tales that seem too fantastic to be true. I'm here to tell you that most of those stories vastly underestimate the situation." He gestured toward the holographic display behind him, where an image of Earth appeared, a swirling blue-green jewel suspended in space. 50 standard cycles ago, I was like you, a junior diplomat who thought I understood galactic politics. Then I witnessed the Proxima incident, which changed everything we thought we knew about humanity. The image shifted to show a modest mining colony orbiting Proxima Centauri. It began with what we thought was a simple diplomatic mistake. The Kraxan hegemony, believing they could pressure humanity into a more favorable mining rights agreement, decided to seize one small, apparently insignificant human mining outpost. Vizar's upper appendages trembled slightly as he recalled the events. The colony had 17 humans. 17. The Kraxan fleet numbered 300 ships. He paused, letting that sink in. The hegemony's ultimatum was simple: surrender the colony or face destruction. They gave the humans 1 standard hour to comply. The hologram showed the Kraxan fleet, their biomechanical ships arranged in perfect attack formation. The humans requested a brief extension to finish their coffee break. The Kraxan commander, thinking this showed fear, graciously granted it. Vizar's skin shifted to a deeper shade of blue, the color of profound amusement mixed with residual disbelief. What the Kraxan didn't know was that those 17 humans had spent their coffee break completely rewriting their mining equipment's operating systems. They had also, as we later learned, been extremely bored before the Kraxan arrived and had previously discussed, purely theoretically, of course, how they might weaponize their mining equipment just for fun. The hologram shifted to show the mining colony's external cameras. When the hour expired, the Kraxan commander demanded their surrender again. The humans responded by launching what they called Operation Pizza Delivery, named, apparently, because one of them had been craving Earth food at the time. The audience watched in stunned silence as the recording showed hundreds of mining drones, originally designed for precision mineral extraction, swarming the Kraxan fleet. Each drone had been reprogrammed to use its cutting lasers and collection systems in ways their manufacturers had never intended. The humans had turned their mineral scanning systems into shield disruptors. Their collection bays became improvised mass drivers, launching chunks of refined ore at near-relativistic speeds. But the true genius, or madness, depending on your perspective, was how they used their atmospheric processors. The hologram zoomed in on one of the larger mining platforms. These humans somehow converted their gas collection systems into what they called reverse environmental stabilizers. In simple terms, they created localized zones where the laws of physics became surprisingly flexible. The recording showed Kraxan ships twisting in impossible ways as they encountered these zones. To this day, human scientists insist this was simply creative application of existing principles. The Kraxan ship's organic components apparently found the experience distressing. Vizar cleared his throat, a gesture he'd learned from humans. The entire engagement lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the Kraxan fleet had surrendered unconditionally. But here's the truly remarkable part: not a single life was lost. The humans had deliberately calibrated their improvised weapons to disable rather than destroy. He brought up another image, this one showing the aftermath. And then, in what would become a defining pattern of human behavior, they did something that shocked the entire galactic community. They invited the defeated Kraxan commanders to dinner. The hologram showed humans and Kraxan sharing a meal in the colony's cafeteria. They discussed trade agreements over something humans call pizza. By the end of what humans termed the most productive business lunch ever, they had not only negotiated a fair mining rights treaty, but had also established 3 joint human Kraxan research projects and a cultural exchange program. Vizar faced his students directly. This, young diplomats, is why we have the human directive. Not because humans are unbeatable in combat, though that's often true, but because they view every crisis as an opportunity for innovation, and every former enemy as a potential friend. He brought up the official text of the human directive. The first rule is deceptively simple: never attempt to force humans to do anything. This isn't because they can't be forced. It's because they tend to respond to force with such creative solutions that the very nature of the conflict transforms into something entirely unexpected. The room had grown so quiet that even the methane-breathing species had stopped their usual bubbling. The second rule is equally important: always accept their invitation to negotiate. Because humans have demonstrated, time and again, that they would rather trade than fight, rather teach than dominate, and would absolutely prefer to solve problems over a shared meal than through military action. Vizar's skin rippled with colors indicating both amusement and deep respect. Today, that same mining colony is the headquarters of the Human Kraxan Cooperative, the galaxy's largest producer of both industrial minerals and artisanal pizza. The original 17 miners all sit on the board of directors, and the Kraxan fleet commander's descendant is the company's CEO. He activated the final hologram, showing the current state of human space, a thriving, multi-species civilization where former enemies worked, lived, and innovated together. Remember this lesson, young diplomats. Humans don't just solve problems. They transform them into opportunities. They don't seek to conquer their enemies, but to turn them into customers, colleagues, and friends. And most importantly, he concluded, his skin shifting to warning red, never ever interrupt their coffee breaks. High Ambassador Vizar's skin shifted to a deeper shade of violet as he prepared to share the next chapter of humanity's remarkable story. The diplomatic trainees had barely recovered from the first lesson, but what came next would truly demonstrate why humans had earned their unique status in galactic society. The Proxima incident taught us about human ingenuity. Vizar continued, his translator harmonizing with the chamber's acoustics. But the Europa event showed us something far more remarkable: human resilience. The holographic display shimmered, revealing a massive research station orbiting Jupiter's icy moon. 10 cycles ago, humanity established their most ambitious research facility. The Europa Deep Space Research Center housed over 3,000 scientists from 42 species, all studying quantum mechanics and dimensional physics. The image zoomed in, showing the station's intricate architecture. The Thanaxi Dominion saw this collaboration as a threat to their technological supremacy. They had long claimed to be the galaxy's foremost experts in quantum science. Rather than join the research effort, they chose to eliminate it. Vizar's skin rippled with remembered tension. The attack came without warning. The Thanaxi deployed a weapon we thought impossible: a localized quantum uncertainty field. In an instant, the laws of physics within the station became unpredictable. The hologram showed the chaos that ensued: equipment floating in impossible directions, energy fields collapsing, and matter itself behaving erratically. By all known science, everyone aboard should have died. The station should have collapsed. The Thanaxi expected to demonstrate their superiority through the station's destruction. He paused, letting his skin shift to a tone of wry amusement. Instead, they gave humanity's scientists exactly what they'd been looking for: a practical demonstration of quantum uncertainty on a macro scale. The recording continued, showing the humans' response. Within minutes of the attack, The station's human quantum physics team recognized what was happening. Rather than evacuate, they began taking readings. Rather than panic, they started experimenting. In the midst of what should have been their destruction, they saw an opportunity. The hologram displayed Dr. Sarah Chen, the station's lead researcher, speaking calmly into a camera while floating sideways relative to her desk. The humans didn't just survive in the quantum uncertainty field. They learned to navigate it. Dr. Chen described it as surfing probability waves. Within hours, they had mapped the fundamental patterns of the chaos. Vizar gestured to show the station's internal sensors. The human researchers discovered that conscious observation could temporarily stabilize the quantum field. They organized the station's entire population into observation teams, creating zones of relative stability through what they called the power of collective scientific curiosity. The display showed crews of humans and aliens working together, using handheld devices to measure and map the quantum distortions. But they didn't stop there. Humans never just survive. They innovate. Dr. Chen and her team realized the quantum uncertainty field could be used to test theories they had only dreamed of exploring. The hologram shifted to show the station's main laboratory. While the Thanaxi waited for news of the station's destruction, the humans were conducting the most ambitious experiments in quantum physics history. They learned more about dimensional mechanics in those 3 days than the galaxy had discovered in the previous 1,000 cycles. Vizar's skin flickered with admiration. When the Thanaxi fleet finally approached to verify their victory, they found the station not only intact but improved. The humans had used their understanding of the quantum field to create stable probability corridors throughout the facility. They had turned a weapon of mass destruction into the galaxy's most advanced research tool. The recording showed the moment the Thanaxi commander received the humans' response to their attack. Dr. Chen sent them a message that has since become legendary in diplomatic circles. She thanked them for their generous contribution to scientific progress and invited them to join the research team, noting that their weapon design showed promising theoretical framework, though the practical application needed refinement. Vizar's skin rippled with barely contained amusement. The Thanaxi commander was so stunned by this response that she personally visited the station to verify the claims. Within a week, she had resigned her military commission to join the research staff. The hologram displayed the station as it appeared now, its structure gleaming with the artificial quantum fields that had become integral to its design. Today, the Europa Research Center is the galaxy's premier facility for quantum physics studies. The uncertainty field generator, refined and controlled, is used daily for experiments that were once thought impossible. The Thanaxi, ironically, now lead the Safety Protocols Department. Vizar turned to face his students directly. This is why the human directive emphasizes understanding human nature. They don't just overcome disasters, they study them. They don't just survive attacks, they repurpose them. Where other species see weapons, humans see tools. Where others see endings, they see beginnings. His skin shifted to the deep blue of serious contemplation. The Thanaxi tried to destroy human research capability. Instead, they accidentally helped humans advance their understanding by centuries. They intended to demonstrate superiority, and ended up becoming students themselves. The hologram showed a recent image of Dr. Chen and the former Thanaxi commander co-teaching a quantum physics class. This is how humans wage war. Not with weapons, but with curiosity. Not with destruction, but with discovery. They defend themselves not by destroying their enemies, but by turning them into colleagues. Vizar let his skin return to its neutral tone. Remember this, young diplomats. When faced with catastrophe, humans don't just endure, they examine. They don't just resist, they reimagine. And in doing so, they change not only themselves but everyone around them. High Ambassador Vizar allowed his skin to shift to a warm copper tone, the color of shared wisdom, as he prepared to deliver the next crucial lesson. The diplomatic trainees had grown noticeably more attentive, their various sensory organs fixed on his every movement. We've discussed human ingenuity in crisis and their resilience in the face of disaster, he began, activating the holographic display once more. Now we must address perhaps their most formidable capability, human commerce. The display illuminated with images of bustling space stations and trading posts. The mercantile Concordat learned this lesson the hard way during what humans call the Great Space Mall Incident. Several of the crystalline students chimed in harmonic amusement. They had obviously heard rumors of this famous event. Vizar's skin flickered with appreciation for their engagement. The Concordat controlled 90% of galactic trade routes when humanity achieved FTL travel, he explained, showing a map of the major space lanes. They had maintained this monopoly through a complex system of treaties, tariffs, and carefully controlled access to their state-of-the-art trading stations. The hologram shifted to show the first human merchant vessels to encounter Concordat space. The Concordat's initial assessment of human trading potential was dismissive. Human ships were smaller, their technology less advanced, and their resources seemingly limited. The Concordat decided to restrict human trading licenses to the lowest tier and confine them to the least profitable routes. Vizar's skin rippled with anticipation. They failed to understand three fundamental aspects of human nature: their creativity, their adaptability, and their inexplicable ability to turn any space into what they call a shopping center. The display showed the first human response to these restrictions. Unable to access the major trading hubs, humans began establishing their own ports in what the Concordat considered worthless locations. They called them space truck stops, a concept that would revolutionize galactic commerce. Images appeared of the first human trading post, a modest station near an asteroid belt. The humans did something unprecedented. Instead of focusing on high-value goods, they created markets for items the Concordat had never considered worthwhile. They introduced concepts like outlet stores, food courts, and something they called buy one, get one free. Vizar's skin shifted to a tone of amused remembrance. The first human innovation that caught the Concordat's attention was something called a vending machine, a simple automated device that could sell products without requiring staffing. Within months, these machines appeared throughout restricted space, offering everything from basic supplies to luxury goods. The hologram displayed various species gathered around these machines in fascination. But the true genius was what humans called the convenience factor. Their trading posts were designed to be comfortable, entertaining, and efficient. They introduced concepts like customer service and satisfaction guarantee that were entirely foreign to galactic commerce. Vizar gestured to show the rapid expansion of human trading networks. The Concordat watched in growing alarm as traffic to their premium trading stations declined. Species would travel far out of their way to visit human posts, not just for goods, but for what humans called the shopping experience. His skin flickered with barely contained mirth. The situation reached its crisis point when humans introduced their most devastating commercial weapon, the Loyalty Rewards Program. Suddenly, species across the galaxy were collecting points, comparing memberships, and pursuing something called premium status. The display showed the Concordat's desperate attempt to respond. They tried to shut down the human trading posts through legal means. The humans responded by declaring their entire network the duty-free zone and announcing a galaxy-wide clearance sale. Vizar's skin pulsed with the deep blue of profound amusement. The resulting rush of customers created the first recorded shopping-based traffic jam in 7 systems. The Concordat's enforcement fleet couldn't even reach the human stations through the crowd of eager shoppers. The hologram showed the historical moment when the Concordat's trade minister arrived at the largest human post to negotiate. They found humans had already prepared a comprehensive partnership proposal, complete with projections showing how cooperation would benefit both sides. They even included a special early adopter discount for Concordat members. Vizar gestured to display current images of the transformed trading network. Today, the Galactic Trade Federation, formerly the Mercantile Concordat, operates the largest chain of what humans call shopping malls in known space. The humans didn't just break their monopoly. They transformed them into enthusiastic participants in a new economic model. His skin shifted to the deep green of important insights. This is why the Human Directive includes extensive sections on commercial interaction. Humans don't just trade goods. They trade ideas. They don't just seek profit. They create entire cultures around commerce. They turned shopping, a simple exchange of goods, into an experience that transformed galactic society. The display showed the current state of human-influenced commerce, vibrant, diverse, and wildly successful. The Concordat tried to restrict human trade. Instead, they became the junior partners in humanity's retail revolution. They attempted to maintain control through restriction and ended up learning that true power comes through innovation and adaptation. Vizar's skin rippled with the patterns of concluding wisdom. Remember this, young diplomats. Humans don't just overcome trade barriers. They transform the very nature of trade. They don't fight monopolies. They make them obsolete through innovation. And most importantly, they will always find a way to open a gift shop. High Ambassador Vizar's skin shimmered with iridescent patterns of anticipation as he prepared to address what many considered the most subtle and powerful aspect of human influence. The diplomatic trainees had settled into a comfortable attention, though several species were now quietly consuming human snacks they had purchased during the brief break. We've explored human ingenuity, resilience, and commercial prowess. Vizar began, noting with amusement how a Zentorian student was trying to discreetly open a bag of what humans called chips without disturbing their sound-sensitive neighbors. But now we must discuss their most pervasive victory, the Cultural Revolution. The holographic display illuminated with scenes from various worlds, all showing unmistakable signs of human influence. The hegemony of pure thought learned about this phenomenon in what became known as the entertainment incident. Vizar's skin rippled with remembered amusement. The hegemony prided themselves on their cultural purity. For 12,000 cycles, they had maintained absolute control over all forms of entertainment, art, and expression within their space. Their citizens were permitted only approved forms of recreation, designed to reinforce proper ideological alignment. The display showed the austere architecture and regulated activities of hegemony worlds. Then a human entertainment vessel, the SS Party Boat as they called it, suffered a navigation error and ended up in hegemony space. Instead of immediately leaving, the crew did something unprecedented. They applied for a performance permit. Several of the methane-breathing students bubbled with anticipation. This story had clearly reached even their distant worlds. The hegemony bureaucrats, amused by what they saw as primitive entertainment, granted the permit as a way to demonstrate the superiority of their approved cultural activities. The humans were allowed to perform in one small port city. Vizar's skin flickered with suppressed mirth. They called their show Spring Break in Space. The hologram displayed footage from that first performance. The humans introduced concepts entirely foreign to hegemony citizens: party games, karaoke, dance contests, and something they called the conga line. But their most devastating weapon was something humans refer to as the DJ. Vizar gestured to show the crowds gathering at the performance. The hegemony expected their citizens to observe politely and leave. Instead, they participated. The humans had an inexplicable ability to make everything interactive. They didn't just perform, they invited everyone to join in. His skin shifted to a tone of amazed remembrance. The hegemony's cultural officers watched in horror as their citizens learned to dance like nobody's watching. The humans taught them games, shared their music, and introduced them to concepts like just having fun and letting loose. The display showed the rapid spread of human entertainment. The hegemony tried to contain it, but humans had mastered something they called viral marketing. Citizens began organizing their own parties. Underground dance clubs appeared. People started using human phrases like TGIF and weekend vibes. Vizar's skin pulsed with the colors of profound insight. But the true cultural revolution came through human storytelling. They introduced their movies, television shows, and video games. The hegemony discovered too late that human entertainment wasn't just about amusement. It was about sharing ideas, emotions, and possibilities. The hologram showed citizens of the hegemony becoming increasingly influenced by human media. They began questioning why their own entertainment had to be purely educational. They wondered why they couldn't have both meaning and fun. The hegemony's carefully maintained cultural walls were crumbling, not through force, but through what humans called binge-watching. Vizar gestured to display the hegemony's desperate attempts to respond. They tried to ban human entertainment, only to discover their citizens had already created something humans called fan clubs. They attempted to discredit human culture, only to find their own leaders secretly addicted to human soap operas. His skin rippled with the patterns of historical irony. The final blow came when the hegemony's supreme cultural director was discovered participating in something called cosplay. She had become, apparently, a huge fan of a human entertainment franchise and was dressing up as something called a Jedi. The display showed the current state of the former hegemony worlds. Today, the United Cultural Spheres, formerly the hegemony of pure thought, is the galaxy's largest producer of entertainment outside of human space. They've merged their traditional arts with human concepts to create entirely new forms of expression. Vizar's skin shifted to the deep green of crucial understanding. This is why the human directive includes protocols about cultural exchange. Humans don't just share their entertainment, they share their way of thinking. They don't just perform, they involve. They don't seek to replace other cultures, they enhance them. The hologram showed scenes from the modern galaxy, where countless species enjoy both their traditional arts and human-influenced entertainment. The hegemony tried to resist human culture. Instead, they became its most enthusiastic adopters. They sought to maintain purity through isolation, and ended up discovering that true cultural strength comes through sharing, adaptation, and yes, even fun. Vizar's skin displayed the complex patterns of concluding wisdom. Remember this, young diplomats. Humans don't just create entertainment. They create connections. They don't just share their culture. They invite others to become part of it. And most importantly, they will always find a way to start a dance party. High Ambassador Vizar's skin shifted to the deep, resonant colors of profound revelation as he prepared to deliver the final and most important lesson. The diplomatic trainees, having absorbed the stories of human ingenuity, resilience, commerce, and culture, leaned forward in anticipation. Everything we've discussed, Vizar began, his voice carrying the weight of crucial understanding, led to what we now call the ultimatum event. The galaxy's greatest miscalculation. The holographic display illuminated with a map of known space, showing the territories of various civilizations. 5 cycles ago, the 7 most powerful empires in the galaxy came to a shared conclusion. Humanity's influence was expanding too rapidly. Their innovation, adaptability, and endless capacity for transformation seemed unstoppable. Vizar's skin rippled with the patterns of historical significance. The coalition of concerned species, as they called themselves, decided to contain humanity through synchronized action. They believed that by acting together, they could succeed where individual species had failed. The display showed the massive fleet assemblies, 7 armies representing the combined might of dozens of worlds. They prepared an ultimatum demanding that humans restrict their expansion, limit their technological development, and regulate their cultural influence. The coalition believed they had planned for every possible human response. His skin flickered with anticipation. They delivered their ultimatum during something humans called a United Nations General Assembly. The coalition's representatives presented their demands with absolute confidence, backed by the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Vizar gestured to show the human representatives' reactions. The coalition had expected resistance, anger, perhaps even fear. Instead, they received Applause. The hologram displayed the historic moment. The human representatives thanked the coalition for their impressive presentation, and then did something unprecedented. They invited all 7 coalition leaders to join them for what they called a working lunch. His skin shifted to tones of amused remembrance. The coalition leaders, confused but bound by diplomatic protocol, accepted. They found themselves in what humans called a conference room, surrounded by something they termed PowerPoint presentations. The display showed the meeting in progress. Instead of discussing the ultimatum, the humans presented detailed proposals for joint scientific ventures, shared cultural exhibitions, and economic partnerships. They had apparently spent the time during the ultimatum speech preparing comprehensive collaboration plans. Vizar's skin pulsed with barely contained mirth. Before the coalition leaders could redirect the conversation back to their demands, they found themselves participating in what humans called breakout sessions, each group focusing on different aspects of potential cooperation. The hologram showed the increasingly bewildered coalition representatives. By the time they realized what was happening, the humans had somehow transformed their threatening ultimatum into a galactic cooperation summit. They called it turning lemons into lemonade, a phrase that has since become standard diplomatic terminology. His skin displayed patterns of deep appreciation. The humans didn't just deflect the threat, they'd reimagined it. They saw the assembled coalition forces not as an army, but as proof that multiple species could work together effectively. They viewed the ultimatum not as a challenge to their existence, but as an opportunity for unprecedented collaboration. Vizar gestured to show the events that followed. Within days, the humans had proposed the formation of the Galactic Cooperative, a new organization that would channel the coalition's combined resources into joint ventures. They somehow convinced their would-be opponents that cooperation would be, as they put it, more fun and profitable than conflict. The display showed the transformation that followed. The coalition's military forces found themselves repurposed for scientific expeditions and humanitarian missions. Their command structure became the foundation for interspecies research teams. Their communication networks transformed into cultural exchange programs. His skin shifted to the complex patterns of universal truth. This, young diplomats, is the ultimate lesson of the human directive. Humans don't just overcome threats, they transform them into opportunities. They don't just solve problems, they reinvent the context in which those problems exist. The hologram showed the current state of galactic society, a thriving cooperative of species working together in ways once thought impossible. The coalition tried to contain humanity's influence. Instead, they became part of humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy: the ability to see beyond conflict, to imagine new possibilities, and to transform opposition into cooperation. Vizar's skin displayed the deep, resonant colors of final wisdom. This is why we have the human directive. Not because humans are unbeatable, though they often are. Not because they're superior, they'd be the first to deny that. But because they possess an ability unique in the known galaxy. They can face any situation, no matter how hostile, and see in it the potential for something better. His skin shifted to the warm tones of shared understanding. Remember this above all else. Humans don't want to conquer the galaxy. They want to improve it, explore it, understand it, and most importantly, share it. They don't seek to defeat other species. They want to go on adventures with them. Vizar concluded with his skin displaying the complex patterns of ultimate truth. The most important rule in the galaxy isn't about fear or power. It's about understanding that humans will always find a way to transform any situation into something positive. And they'll inevitably invite everyone else to join in the process.